All right, so this is our second video. We're going to be talking a bit about dimensional tiering. I'm back with David,
Yep. How's it going, guys?
and yeah, I guess it's self-explanatory. So I guess David can start off talking about dimensional tiering, why we don't like it, and the problems with it in general.
Okay, so here's the thing. One of the things I've noticed in the Dragon Ball Super community is that due to the recent episodes where Goku and Jiren have done stuff like shook the world of Void, and especially in episode 111 where Jiren defeated Hit's time skip, and you had all the characters saying, "Oh, Jiren's transcended time is beyond time itself." And then also, not only that, but then people taking that as to mean that they have infinite 3D destructive capacity, meaning that Jiren could essentially just destroy infinite 3D universes if you really wanted to, along with Goku. And I think this is flawed for two main reasons. The first is that I don't really believe that Jiren and Goku are actually above time. I don't believe they're fourth dimensional beings. And I also don't believe that in the context of fiction, being a fourth dimensional being necessitates you being able to destroy infinite 3D universes. So basically, the way this works, okay, is so if you're a four-dimensional being, the idea is that you're beyond infinite because the fourth dimension is beyond infinite times greater than the third dimension in terms of its scale. Like the third dimension doesn't even exist in the fourth dimension, so to speak. So basically, the idea is that then in this case, if Goku and Jiren are above time, then theoretically they would be able to destroy infinite 3D universes because they're infinitely beyond 3D, which in the real world, yes, this may apply, but I don't necessarily believe this to be the case. I don't believe they're actually above time, mainly because, first of all, the way the time skip works is literally Hit is putting Jiren in an alternate dimension of time, and then Jiren is breaking through that. I don't necessarily think that equals the same thing as, say, Whis' time reversal, where he's able to reverse time for 3 minutes. And also, again, this begs so many questions like if Jiren and Goku are fourth dimensional beings, why can't they travel to any time of their life that they want to at a whim? Why can't they prevent certain actions, certain events from happening? And also, why would Whis need his staff to be able to go back 3 minutes in time? And why can Whis only go 3 minutes back in time? Why can't Whis go wherever he wants when he wants? Why can't Beerus go wherever he wants when he wants in time?
Yeah,
You know, all,
notice when
mhm.
Goku and the whole Zamasu thing happened, Goku was in shock that Whis could go back in time. It was considered an ability, but if Goku was a 4D being, such a thing would be easy to him. Time would be like climbing down into a canyon, and going into the future would be a similar effect. But we know for a fact, based on the way the time rings work, and based on the way the time machines work, that Goku definitely doesn't have this mastery of time. So to me, that seems already a bit skeptical if you look at the show from that perspective. And I
And if you and also here's the thing though. Now you could argue, oh, in Super Saiyan Blue he wasn't 4D, but when he unlocked Ultra Instinct, he was. Like him and Jiren were 4D when they reached that level. However, I just don't think this is the case because the implication from that would be that because Goku unlocked Ultra Instinct, he grew beyond infinite times greater in terms of power, which to me just doesn't seem
logical,
likely.
yeah.
Exactly, doesn't seem likely. And also, I mean, just another reason, the other second reason why I don't believe that this works is because in fiction, I can show plenty of examples of other forms of fiction where a character is beyond 4D, significantly beyond 4D, which is a character in Galactus. And Galactus in Marvel Comics is stated to be a cosmic iceberg of dimensions. Heck, they say he's beyond dimensions. He's beyond the concept of dimensions. Now you may be thinking, wow, if this guy Galactus is beyond the concept of dimensions, if he's beyond dimensions, then he must be able to easily destroy even infinite 4D, 5D, 6D universes just casually because he that's his dimensional tier, so to speak. However, if you actually read Marvel Comics, you'd realize, oh shit, Galactus can't even, I mean, he can barely even destroy a universe.
Yeah.
Like Galactus doesn't exactly have that many universal feats. He's mostly a multi-galaxy level character. Sometimes he stretches to universal, but for the most part, he's only like multi-galaxy.
I also want to propose a question. So if we assume Jiren's a 4D character and Goku only hit 4D as Ultra Instinct, which I don't think kind of fits in with the logic being espoused, but we'll go by that for the sake of the argument. That would imply that when when Jiren was fighting against Goku, at any point before Goku unlocked Ultra Instinct, Jiren was expending no effort whatsoever to fight against him. And I'm aware Jiren's way above Goku, but I'm sorry, I don't get the vibe from that fight. I mean, Jiren's a far stronger character, but he is expending some effort to defeat him. If he had an infinite well of power, he wouldn't be expending any effort at all. And
Exactly, exactly. So the point is that if Super Saiyan Blue Goku's a 3D being and then Jiren's a 4D being, I mean, it's not a fight.
also,
I mean,
another thing is that if we assume that Zeno's above time, or no, sorry, Jiren's above time, but we know for a fact Zeno's not above time. We know for a fact that Zeno exists in multiple timelines and has no real bearing of time itself. So that would imply that Jiren has capacity above Zeno, which would make no logical sense in any frame of the way, no matter how you look at it. I guess.
exactly. And the way I see it, I mean, think of it this way. Imagine if Whis is fighting Goku and he goes, I'm going to tap my staff and reverse time by 3 minutes. How in the world would Goku just resist that? Because he would be able to if he's a 4D being. I don't think he'd just resist it. He wouldn't just tank it. Another example, actually, is when Beerus goes on his rampages. That's what Whis does. He rewinds time to stop Beerus from doing these actions. And again, if Beerus is relative to these 4D beings, if Beerus is indeed a 4D being, then that wouldn't have any effect on him. Rewinding time wouldn't do anything.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, the way we view this is that don't judge feats based off their dimensional power, dimensional tiering, because in fiction, like Toriyama could not care less about that. Ask Toriyama, I don't even know what a dimension is, right? Judge feats off of their merit itself, and not based off of the dimensional tiering implied by them.
Now, here's an example. Okay, here's an example. So you have a character blow up a timeline. Then you can say if you want, okay, he blew up this timeline, therefore it's a 4D feat. That is okay to do. But the relevant part isn't the fact that it's a 4D feat. The relevant part is the feat itself, which is blowing up the timeline. Now, to give you another example, if one character blew up a timeline and then another character is just stated to be 4D, I wouldn't assume that the character who's 4D is automatically equal to the character able to destroy the timeline because the other character actually performed the feat. Again, I harken back to my example with Galactus. Just because he's beyond dimensions or he's this higher dimensional being doesn't mean, in the context of fiction at least, that he can just destroy infinite universes at a whim. Because he can't. We know he can't.
Yeah, I mean, it's like fiction. The people who write fiction don't view things through a dimensional lens, and trying to view things differently and separately from the way they do it automatically creates contradictions. You see
And
this.
if you want to argue that you can't necessarily equate Marvel to Dragon Ball, I would agree with you. But the point isn't the difference in universes. It's just fiction. The point is that fiction itself doesn't adhere to the same rules that the real world does, especially a fiction like Dragon Ball.
Yeah, especially Dragon Ball, where physics really has no bearing at all. I mean, let's be realistic here. You can turn little cars into capsules and carry them around your back pocket. That doesn't sound very logical at all. You have an other world where there's all this ridiculousness. So why would dimensional theory apply in a serious sense, and that everything in our world transcends Dragon Ball when it doesn't in every other capacity? It's the same thing with calcs. It's pretty
Absolutely.
strange.
And I mean that's really all there is to it. I mean, there's really no evidence that Jiren is truly a fourth dimensional being other than statements from characters like Vados and Supreme Kai, who Supreme Kai is not reliable at all. I
And
mean,
And it makes no sense that Jiren's above time because Zeno's not above time, and that would mean that Jiren is above Zeno in some way. And I want to propose an example to you. If Whis tapped on his staff, would Jiren be able to resist it? I mean, I find that really hard to believe. Could Jiren go back in time and stop, or while he's fighting, could he go back in time and punch Goku, and then Goku would feel 10 seconds later? I don't see that at all. In fact, Jiren's impressed by the time skip. Jiren has to adjust this time skip. If Jiren was a 5 or 4 dimensional being, as would be implied by those quotes, why would he have to do that at all?
also I want to jump back to how the physics and stuff of Dragon Ball don't exactly adhere to the real world. Is that again with Omni King? I mean, Omni King destroys the timeline. He destroys the entire timeline. In the manga, even time and space was destroyed completely. However, Goku and Trunks are able to bring a time machine into this timeless, spaceless nothingness. They're able to bring a machine there, and Omni King is just moving around in this timeless, spaceless nothingness. Despite the fact that he destroyed the entire time stream, Trunks and Mai are actually able to go to a time in that timeline before Omni King destroyed it. And if he destroyed the entire time stream, then heck, how would they be able to do that? All of time and space is gone in that timeline. But again, this shows Dragon Ball physics don't adhere to the same way the real world does.
Yeah. I mean, I really that's all I can say about it. It's all I really can think about it. If you, I mean, it's not a logical supposition to assume that physics are transcendent. It's not, these characters don't act like fourth dimensional beings. Put them in, experiments where we'd imagine fourth dimensionality would apply, and it's hard to imagine the characters resisting with a time skip. Or it's hard to imagine that Jiren expends no effort whatsoever against Goku. Or when Goku fights against Kalfa or no, against Caulifla and Kale, he's not expending any energy. Each of these things are kind of against, our basic logic, and if it's against our basic logic, I think the natural inclination there is probably true. I think the inclination is that dimensionality doesn't work in fiction in general, and that we should judge feats off the feats themselves, not based off the dimensional theory they imply. That's all I have to say on the topic.
Absolutely.
Anything else?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. Again, and if people want to argue, oh, but Vados' statement is some sort of authorial intent, the thing is, the thing we have to consider is again, okay, so Vados is saying, oh, Jiren transcends time. But again, we know for a fact that we know essentially for a fact that the angels are above Jiren. We know for a fact that the angels can only go 3 minutes into the past. They can only rewind time 3 minutes. So I mean, again, that shows they're not beyond the concept of time. They need their stabs just to rewind time for 3 minutes.
Yeah. So I think that's it. I'm ready to sign off. How about you?
Yep,
All right.
I think we nailed it on the head there.
Yeah, I think we nailed it there. All right. See you guys in the next video. Hope you enjoyed.